follow on me. We're marching out into the night. Follow on me. We're standing up against a giant. Follow on me. We might be walking in the fire, but if it's where we're meant to be, then on me.
Welcome, folks. This is On Me podcast number 12. This was kind of a crazy idea that we had in 9 days, put it together to do a 20-day consecutive podcast. So Derrick, I know you've been through, way worse, Hell Week, deployments, but 20 days of 20 podcasts is a little intense, but it has been amazing. We have had so many great guests that have joined us on here, and we have been able to provide so much encouragement and leadership tactics on how to adapt and overcome for so many people. And so we're excited to have you join us today, Derrick. Welcome from the state of Wisconsin.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Mama. It's always good to talk to you and the folks around the country. Very excited about that. It's very strange times we're living in right now. And I think in recent history, there's really been there has not been a time where we need to encourage each other more than what's been taking place in the last 45 days or so.
Yeah, that's so good. We see and we hear about people who've lost loved ones. Excuse me, my allergies are bothering me. Have lost loved ones, to COVID-19. Many people have lost their jobs. Some have been furloughed. They don't know if they'll have a job to go back to. There's so many small businesses that after being shut down for 2 months, not sure that they can make it and they can survive. And, we have ones that not even sure how they're going to feed their family next week. And so we wanted to, as we thought through the process, how we could do this from afar. I'm used to being around people and encouraging them and being with our veterans and our military and being able to, love on them and hug them and support them. And so came up with this, never used Zoom before COVID-19. So, there are things that we do need to adapt and learn and that are stretching process. Technology is definitely not my forte, but it's been, kind of encouraging to my heart to say, okay, look, there are these other tools out here that this may be a whole different way after COVID-19 to continue to stay in touch with people. And so we adapt and overcome in crazy ways. But I would like to start by reading your bio and just give our listeners a glimpse into who you are and what you've done. Derrick Van Orden is an American patriot, a retired Navy SEAL, husband, father, grandfather, and Christian. He met and married his wife, Sarah Jane, over 27 years ago. They live on a small hobby farm in Hager City, Wisconsin. Derrick joined the Navy at the age of 18 and served for 26 years. He retired as a Navy SEAL senior chief with 5 combat deployments and several others to troubled areas in the world. His first combat deployment was to Bosnia, Herzegovina, immediately following the signing of the Dayton Accords. During this time, he came to understand how truly unique and wonderful America is, and why she is not only worth emulating, but protecting. Derrick continued his service with multiple combat tours to Afghanistan and Iraq. Additionally, he served in the Horn of Africa, Asia, Europe, and South and Central America. In Europe in 2012, he was responsible for planning special operations contingency operations for the European continent. This is where he learned that when America has ineffectual leaders, Americans pay the price for their lack of strength. The direct result of this was the tragic killing of his former teammates, Ty Woods, and fellow SEAL Glenn Doherty, during the terrorist attack on the embassy annex in Benghazi. Derrick has acted in several films, including Act of Valor. He is a best-selling author of the book, A Book of Man, a Navy SEAL's Guide to the Lost Art of Manhood. Derrick has also consulted with Fortune 500 companies. After retirement, Derrick and his wife, Sarah, decided to reopen the Butternut Cafe as a gathering place for friends and family. Following this, Derrick attended law school to pursue his love of learning and his love for America. Derrick felt called back into public service, this time as a candidate for Congress in the 3rd District of his beloved state of Wisconsin. So lots of information. Thank you, Derrick.
You're welcome. What's not in there is I'm also an excellent dancer.
Oh, well, why did you not put that in there?
I don't know. they always cut those things out. I don't know why. Yeah.
So will this be one of those opportunities we'll get to see you dance on Zoom?
Actually, no. But thank you for the offer.
On it.
I am wearing pants. I'm like that ABC reporter guy.
Yes, yes. With the well, you could get a pair of boxer shorts that are red, white, and blue. You know,
I could.
You're a patriot. You're a patriot.
I am a patriot. Yeah.
Well, we're excited to have you here. Tell us a little bit more that your bio didn't talk about. We know that you're married. It says you're a grandfather and father. So how many kids do you have? How many grandkids?
Okay. Well, I'll start. My father is not who I'd call an honorable man. And he abandoned myself, my brother, and my mother before I remember them being married. And we can learn things from good examples and bad examples.
Yes.
What I learned from the bad examples of my father is that if you are going to be a father, take responsibility for what you're doing. And that was a good example from a bad example. What I learned from my mother was hard work counts and family counts. And every day she got up, she was 5'0", Irish farm girl, harder than woodpecker lips. And she got up and she worked every day to support my brother and I. So I appreciated that greatly. We lived in small towns until I joined the Navy. And I met my bride, who she's over there outside now, making some venison chili from a deer that I shot in my backyard.
Nice.
Yeah, that's why I live on a farm. But so I met her in San Diego, and we had 4 children together, which is wonderful. And we have 6 grandchildren now. I am, although I look like Father Time, I'm actually only 50. But I've earned this gray beard. But yeah, we decided to move back to this small farm, and I started law school. Really, for me, that was I wouldn't say it was selfish, but I really enjoy learning, and I love reading, and I'm really bad at math, unlike my sons, who are both polymaths. But so I decided to start law school, and then we moved, and I started reading and looking into the congressman that was here that was representing us, and really determined that he no longer needed to be in office. And I decided to stop law school, just finished the first year, and I'm done, because now I'm doing this for everybody around me, which is what I should have been doing earlier. It just never occurred to me. But yeah, so I get to go around, talk to some of the coolest people you're ever going to meet. And I'm really looking forward to getting out and trying to make some changes in this incredibly difficult time that we're going through in our country right now. We need some mature leadership and folks that aren't chasing nickels around and political, points and all that stuff. We need somebody that's going to go in and do something because it's the right thing to do. And there's quite a few congressmen and senators, and of course I strongly back the president. I don't know how anybody feels about that, and I don't care, because the guy's under a tremendous amount of pressure, and I respect what he's doing and why he's doing it. So decided to radically alter the course of my life, because I think it's important that we stand up as men and women of character to make sure that we do what is right for our nation. Otherwise, it's just, we're going nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm doing. I think that, for such a long time, and I don't want to make this all political, but I think for such a long time that we very much have been taught, we don't talk about politics and we don't talk about religion. Right. And I tell people, that's why our country is the way it is today, because we haven't spoke about those things. And those are our rights to be able to do that. That's what you fought for. That's what so many others that are, are listening, that are part of those that we serve, that have sacrificed for, so that we could have those freedom of religion. We can have freedom of speech to be able to do those things. And we need to, as Americans, make sure we're all speaking out and doing our part, whether it's just, talking to our neighbors, whether it's serving on a board locally at a school board, or, in your small town. We all need to be serving some way. And I'm proud of you, Derrick, very proud of you. If I lived in Wisconsin, I'd be voting for you, but I'm very, very proud of you. So,
well, thank you.
Job well done. And
yes,
the other thing is the marriage. To be a Navy SEAL, it is hard on families. So God bless your wife. God bless you for, was it 26 or 27 years of marriage?
Over 27 now. And that's
awesome.
the one person. Some people say, I've been married for 40 years. And you're like, yeah, it's like 7 different people. That doesn't count.
But amazing. And how old are your kids?
32, 25, 24, or 24, 20. Danny's telling me. He's 21, 25, 24, 21.
Oh, it was the math, right? Numbers. We won't ask any more numbers questions.
Hey, I'm good at budgets, though. Oddly enough, when things are on a Microsoft spreadsheet, I can do them very well. It's just remembering birthdays. So hopefully that.
How old your kids are, because they grow so quickly. You really do feel like you just drop them off at preschool and you blink and you're a grandparent. So, which is one of the most amazing things in the world. I'm blessed with 11 grandkids, and yes, I love being a grandma. It's pretty awesome. So, as I sure you do, being a grandfather. But you know, as we've thought through COVID, and I know I mentioned in the beginning some of the reasons that we started this. We started at 15:13. Because John 15:13 says, greater love has no one than this, than to lay down their life for their friends. And that's what Mark did. That's what so many others have done. And so that's why we wanted to pick that significant time. And the on me, I'm sure that's something you said numerous times in combat, on me. And you were saying, guys, I'm leading, you follow me. We got something to go to do together as a team. You didn't go out by yourself and yell on me with nobody around you. There was a team that needed to come together. And so that's why we wanted to have that theme, to bring everybody together, to bring our speakers on who've gone through, you know, intense trials and tragedies in their life and how they overcame, and to help us encourage that. So we'd like for you to share a little bit. You know, we listed all the different combat deployments and the places you were. I'm guessing that probably combat would be one of those most difficult circumstances, but could you share with us one of the toughest things you've ever been through in your life, and then how you overcame it?
Well, I don't mean to disappoint your audience without sharing a SEAL underwater knife fighting story. But honestly, the most difficult thing that I've gone through in my entire life was when I got married and we had children. Because I fully accepted the possibility of me being killed overseas or being grievously injured. And I've, you know, a lot of friends and colleagues that have been grievously injured and killed and all that stuff. But mentally, I accepted that completely. And then that just became me going to the office. And people think you might get a paper cut when you're working at the office, or someone hits you with a stapler or something like that. And I don't mean to diminish this at all, but once that becomes part of you, once you fully accept the fact that your mortality is completely on the line, and I became a man of faith, a Christian, so I knew what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen after I die. To me, that wasn't as stressful, I guess, that it is for most people. But when I really understood that I voluntarily stepped up to take care of this woman, and then, you know, these girls, and then the boys, and realized that their existence really depended on me. And if I was going to be the man I wanted other people to think I was, that I was ultimately responsible for their well-being. And that's their physical being, their mental health, all of these things was really, really sobering to me when it hit home. And I think if more people were to take a little time and think about the debt they owe to people that they have willingly accepted the debt, meaning their families. And this transcends just an individual family, because, I mean, there's a reason I call you Mama Lee, right? So I feel like I have a debt to you because of Mark's sacrifice and your continued service to other people to try to help them through difficult times. But for me, really, that was it. When it was like I blinked my eyes, and all of a sudden I'm like, holy man, I am the head of a family. And I came from a broken family. So we didn't have a patriarch, you know, now I'm a patriarch. And that was really it. I know that's not a cool, like, I can tell you 100 times about I was almost killed, you know, AK rounds hitting light post right next to my head when I'm talking to somebody, you know, instead of hitting here, getting shot in the face during training. And if, you know, hit my jaw and stopped as going here and ripped my throat out, being chucked over and over underneath and pinned underneath the Zodiac because a helicopter landed on there, and being strapped into a Stoke stretcher and pinned, and, you know, running out of air being a goofball at like 100 and some feet, scuba diving and having to FS. I mean, those are stories that people want to hear, but the truth is the hardest thing, the most difficult part of my life and the most profound experience was really understanding that I was a husband and a father. It was a big
So
deal.
how did you prepare yourself to do that in those different stages? I mean, obviously you don't just start and decide to do that. And you read a book and like, okay, I'm going to be the great husband. I mean, it's a process. Right. So what things did you do in the process? What were some of those things that you did that maybe were failures that you learned from? Because I think so often the different things that we go through in life are that practicing ground. I know as Navy SEALs, you guys practice over and over and over right. your missions. And that's so important for us in life to, you know, practice those proving ground, you know, so then once we go through one thing, then the next trial or tragedy that comes along that's maybe more intense, we've had some practice before in the circumstances life's given us. So what were some of those things that you did in your life that were like, oh crap, that wasn't good, what do I do now? And well, how did you overcome that?
I learned to listen. And I learned to look at somebody when they're saying something and really pay attention to them. And that being married and being a father was very helpful in my career. I got into a very specialized line of SEAL work for about the last 10 years or so. I was in the SEAL teams, and the success of those types of missions was predicated directly on your ability to understand what another human being in front of you is saying, oftentimes in a different language. And these are people that want you dead, like me dead personally, and you dead because you're an American. Wait, where's the camera? You dead. But my ability, or sometimes my lack of ability to listen, really paid out. I'll give you an example. The first Valentine's Day, we're married. So we got married the 15th of February. I got that one right. But so the next year, Valentine's coming around, Sarah had been hinting about, you know, Valentine's Day's coming up, Valentine's Day, Valentine's. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I sleep in till like, I don't know, 5:15 in the morning or something. And she comes in and she's like, you are ruining this. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, I didn't get it. I did not realize that Valentine's Day was like Valentine's Day. That was a knife hand for your guests that weren't in the military, right? And so, no, thank you. Who's that? Someone just wrote Mother's Day's coming up. I got this one down. Thanks. Yeah. So if I had been paying attention to the body language that Sarah had exhibited and the way that she had, you know, been saying these things, I would have realized that I should have done, you know, much more better mission planning for Valentine's Day. But so many times we ask people a question and we don't care what the answer is. We already have our next question queued up, and we're just moving our lips to make noise. And these things, you know, don't work, which is why there's been so much angst around people just talking at each other as opposed to talking to each other. And if I get really pissed when someone asks me a question and they don't listen for the answer. Yeah. And I think people should be mad at me when I ask them a question and don't listen to the answer. There's a book. It's called De Gowin and De Gowin. It's one of the basic medical texts for people going through medical school that we had to read as 18 Deltas. And one of the famous quotes from that book is, "Listen to your patient. They will tell you their diagnosis." And
so good.
Doctors forget that now. You know, they just plug things in and you pee in a cup and they're like, you've got whatever, when maybe you're just having a bad day.
Yeah.
So when we ask someone a question, I'm going to encourage you, the folks listening to this, if you don't ask someone a question unless you want to hear the answer. And if someone tells you the answer, listen to it.
So good. And there would be a reason that we have 2 of these and only 1 of these.
No, and when you point your finger, you know, there's 3 pointing back at you.
Yeah, that's so good.
All these little cliche things. Again, there's a reason they're cliches. They're so ingrained in truth that they almost become a joke. Right. And people take them for granted, when in fact you shouldn't. I mean, they're really there for a reason. In the SEAL teams, we say, hey, you know, these lessons are learned in blood. So we sweat more in training, so we bleed less in combat. And
so good.
that stuff's real.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's was part of my point in the beginning was we do practice, you know, obviously for me, I'm not going in combat. I don't need to be worried about being fired on. But if I've got employees and we don't practice, you know, something that we're doing and the event fails, then that's on me because I didn't train that employee right. So the more times you go through it, the more practice you do, then when the final event comes or outcome, then you're going to have the results that you were hoping for because you've trained hard. And I think in the midst of COVID-19, that's something that people can work on. You know, a lot of people have extra time right now and they're not, you know, they're wasting it doing Netflix, you know, 8 hours a day on TV or whatever. Plan a new mission statement for your family. Plan a new mission statement or, you know, perfect that mission statement for your family. Do those things that are going to help to change. Use your brain. Continue to do some of those things that you can practice through. You can, you know, say, okay, well, if this happens this way, let's try this. And what about this? And do some changes. Make some changes there. I'm not sure if we lost Derrick there. I see his picture went out. I know. You there, Derrick?
I am there. Sorry,
Awesome.
someone was calling me.
Oh, someone was calling you.
I'm ludicrously important right now.
I can't talk.
No, I
that's so
heard
important.
everything that you said. I'm completely tracking with you. Everything that you said.
So I know that in your bio you talked about, you know, Ty and Glenn, and that you were you know, part of in charge during that time in a different way. So Ty was actually one of Mark Spud's instructors, and every time I visit Fort Rosecrans, you know, I stop and put flowers on all of our team guys, you know, that are up there. But Ty's one of them that's a special connection.
Yeah.
So where were you when you found out about that? What involvement at any level did you have input to pass up? Obviously, that wasn't your decision. You know, what was decided in the White House and those horrific choices or lack of action when something could have been done. Where were you in this time frame in all of this? And, you know, obviously
my official job title was the J35 NCOIC, which means that is the joint, the J thing, and then 35 is operations, and then future contingency operations plans, J35, and then non-commissioned officer in charge. And interestingly enough, that's the one exercise I didn't go on because we were ready to transfer back to the United States. So the entire command picked up and moved to Croatia, while I stayed back at the headquarters in Stuttgart, Germany, which is co-located. They're across town from each other with Special Operations Command Africa. So I was at SOC UR and SOC AF, the guys in charge of that continent were there, but we were still working out this agreement between commanders in extremis force, between the two COCOMs, the combatant commanders. So that happened, and I came into work in the morning, and they said an American ambassador has been killed in Benghazi, Libya. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then we got really, really involved with it. So I wound up I moved from my place and worked all of the cleanup for that operation from the headquarters of the Special Operations Command Europe. So I didn't fly to Benghazi, but I was privy to all of the information that came out of there from the get-go, the actual truth, and then what was put out by the Obama administration. And those two did not match. And that's what I discuss in that little short blurb in the bio. We knew immediately what had actually taken place. And then it's very unfortunate to say, but the previous administration did not comport themselves in an honorable manner. And Susan Rice went on all these shows saying this is because of this video and all that crap. And we knew that it was a pre-planned terrorist attack from the get-go. And they were trying to save face. And that's inexcusable. Can everybody make the right decision all the time? No, they cannot. But when you lie to try to cover up what happened, that is not leadership. That's administrative cowardice. That's putting political benefit above the truth and the betterment of the United States of America. And that is unacceptable on my watch. Now, granted, I was still an active duty service member. And I have never spoken poorly about a sitting commander-in-chief in my life, nor will I while they are sitting, because that itself is counterproductive. We must understand that these folks are in, they're elected people or appointed and then confirmed, as Hillary Clinton was, as sex state at the time. But all of that lies directly on their shoulders. That was, they ignored pleas for assistance. Ambassador Stevens repeatedly wanted more security, and they pretended like that didn't happen. And then this stupid video came out, and they tried to blame it on that. And that is, I'm sorry, the CF QRF is ready to launch. Actually, it did launch. The Commanders in Extremis Force launched with a complete package on a C-130, including comms, medical stuff, and then everything you could possibly need. That's a lift and shift package. And that launched. They were not given country clearance to land in Benghazi. And that was not a Title 10 country, meaning that was under Chief of Mission Authority, who's the ambassador. That's Stevens. The next person in the chain of command, I believe, was Tina Kadenow, and then it went to Hillary Clinton. So they could not physically land a military aircraft in that country without the approval of the American ambassador or the next person up in the chain of command if you're gone. And you can thank Jimmy Carter for that. That was a decision that Jimmy Carter made to remove the ability for the military to move freely around the country. So there's a difference between a Title 10 authority country and Chief of Mission Authority. So all that stuff you heard in the news was hooey. It was inappropriate. Ty and Glenn died. And you know what? They died like men. No one made them go there. Just, no one forced Mark to go to Iraq. No one forced these men and our other servicemen and women to go do stuff. They volunteered, and then they volunteered, and they volunteered over and over again. And that's why America is badass. And when people talk smack about America, I get a little hot under the collar because they don't understand the sacrifices that our young men and women make for us every day, voluntarily. Yeah. Oh, preach it. Who's that? Leroy Watkins? Preach it. Right on, man. Don't talk smack about my country in front of me. And don't talk smack about my family.
Yeah.
And you're part of that family, Mama.
Well, thank you. I just think of, I keep Mark's letter close by, and there's so many of those things that he talks about in there. And he says, our country is a great country. Don't get me wrong on this. Otherwise, none of us would be living there. My point of this is, how can we come over here and help a less than fortunate country without holding contempt or hate towards them if we can't do it in our own country? I try to do my part over here, but the truth is over there, the United States, I do nothing but take. And that's when he goes then into his random acts of kindness, and he talks about, when's the last time you paid for a stranger's a cup of coffee, a meal, or a tank of gas? But I think, he said we have an obligation to keep our country the great and free that it is now. And so I love that you're willing to, even after all those years of service as a Navy SEAL, that you definitely have earned your retirement, and you could sit back on that farm with your wife and your kids and your grandkids, and you have earned that. But you didn't do that. You said, I want to continue to serve. And as we've talked with speakers, that seems to be one of the topics that comes up over and over and over in the midst of COVID-19. In the midst of any trial or tragedy that you're going through, go do something for somebody else. Go serve. It may not all be, required as a public servant, but when we do service, there is something that makes us feel so great. We're not, inward. We're not looking at our pain, our sorrow, and you're out there helping somebody else and doing something for somebody else. That's what America was founded on. That's who we are as Americans. We give the shirt off of our back to people. We go help other people. Mark talks about, he saw, one of the guys he serves with give his last meal that he had, with him at that time, to one of the Iraqi kids who had nothing. Yeah. It's so important to have that selfless serving attitude, and it just makes such a difference when you're going through tragedy. What would be some other encouraging words that you would give people in the midst of COVID that are struggling and being able to adapt and overcome?
Like a challenge or something like that?
Sure. If you got a challenge you want to throw out at us?
I do. Well, let me back up something real quick. A quick vignette here. I declared we did some events previously and these straw polls and Lincoln dinners and all that stuff. And we're crushing everybody, right? And then that's so funny. And we're crushing everybody. We crushed them. We just won our caucus 73% of the vote on the first ballot.
Yes.
Anyway, so
I'd say that's a legitimate crush.
it is. So, but I filed officially with FEC for a candidacy, and then like 30 hours later, this COVID-19 happens, right? And I'm like, okay, well, we're not doing fundraising, we're not doing any of this other political crap. We're going to, and I have at that point 12 people on a payroll, and I said we're going to make something called Neighbors Helping Neighbors in the Wisconsin 3rd District, which is like, it's a virtual bulletin board where people, if you have something in one of my 18 counties and someone needs it, you connect at the super grassroots level, you know. So we developed this and all that. Like, this isn't how you run a political campaign. I'm like, well, this is how I'm running this one. So, you know, beep off or get on board the boat, because this is where we're going. And they're like, well, that sounds like an excellent idea, sir. So you got to, seriously, you know, I told him, I said, like, this is the weirdest time I've ever lived in. People don't know if they can pay their rent or buy food. Yeah. And what kind of schmuck would you be if you start driving home all this political crap, if you have the ability to help people in a time of crisis and you don't help them? Why on earth how could you look someone in the face and ask them to vote for you? Silly. Okay, so that's what we did. Anyway, here's what I'm going to type. Ready? Stand by. Everyone pull out your pencil. Hannah, I see thumbs up. Pull out your pencil. You ready? Choose joy. Okay, choose joy. And this is what I'm talking about. There's so many things that are going to happen to you in your lifetime that you are unable to control. All of these things are going to take place. You know, I got a tooth punched out of my face, you know, all this crazy everything. You get into a car accident, this COVID-19 things happen, your relative, all these things are going to happen to you that are external to your control. But what every person always has within their control is the ability to respond. So your response to any type of tragedy or crazy stuff is completely within your control. And oftentimes people don't even realize that's a choice. And I'm telling you, it's a choice, because you being miserable is not physics. It's not thermodynamics. It's not predestined. Your response to a negative action. It is not. It's not predestined. It's within you. So there's 8 inches that separates fear and function. There's 8 inches that separates panic and performance. And those 8 inches are right in between these two things. All right, that's the distance between your ears. So the ability, I mean, some people have really big heads, so it's like, you know, 15 inches, I don't know. Maybe some people have little wee heads, but I'm telling you, that 8 inches between your 2 ears, your brain, your mind is completely under your control. And how you respond to these things is up to you. And I'm telling you, if you choose joy, you will find it. Because we were not created. Listen, I am a full-on Christian, and oftentimes I have a potty mouth and I feel horrible about it. I am sorry. But I'm a Christian, and I believe that we are the apex of God's creation. And we were not created to live in abject misery. We were created to live with unbounding joy. But that's up to us to live. So I'm challenging you right now. And things get bad. You know, you can cry and you can do whatever you want. That's fine. But you understand that the end state is joy. That's what you were made to experience, joy. So grab it, choose it. If you choose it, it's there for you.
Yeah, that is so good. I think probably almost every day of the podcast, I've somewhere shared that I had no choice. The news that was given to me on August 2nd, 2006, we were notified that Mark had been killed. But I did have a choice how I responded. You know, I could have curled up in a ball and felt sorry for myself. And I get that. Losing a kid is the toughest pain that you could ever go through. But that wouldn't have brought Mark back. That would have physically made me sick. Nobody's thinking want to be around me. And that's not how God wired me. So I put on Mark's boots and picked up his weapon and stay in the fight for you guys. Stay in the fight for every man and woman who's served. Stay in the fight for every other Gold Star family who's lost a loved one. And I didn't do that because I felt like it. Because I'll tell you what, it was a deep depth of grief and pain and tears and sorrow. But with my will, I could choose to say, this is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm going to go. And the feelings will follow. When you make that choice with your will, what's in your brain, not with what you're feeling, then those feelings, like you said, of the joy, you may not be in that joyful place, but if you say, I'm going to choose joy, even though it sucks right now that I've lost my job, even though, I don't know how I'm going to feed my family, I still can have joy. Not like, oh, I'm so glad I can't feed my family. You can still have that joy because you choose to do that. And I think that is an absolutely amazing challenge that you threw out, Derrick. And I just pray that our listeners all choose to do that, because for the people that don't know you, they've got a little glimpse into you, but your humor and your joy just exudes whenever you're around Derrick. He just overflows with the joy that he has in his life as well.
Did you hear that, Dan? Our youngest son, who's awesome. He's about to graduate from Bible college.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Well, one of the things, Derrick, that we like to do for our guests, all of our guests have donated their time to come on here, and we're so, so grateful for that. We wouldn't be able to, it would be over $100,000 to get 20 guest speakers like this and put it all together if people had to pay to come, listen to you guys. So thank you again. But we would like to support you. What things can we be doing to support you? Where can people follow you for your campaign for more information? Your book, you have a book that you've written. Can people still purchase that? If so, where do we do that?
They can buy the book, but those are all resales. But that thing's sold out. Would like to do another printing, but I'm more focused on this political thing right now. But we do have a website and Facebook. It's vanordenforcongress.com. Or if you can't remember all that, because I screwed up too, my name gets misspelled all the time, vanoforcongress.com. And there's some tabs on there that get involved. If you click on that, it's not just send me money. It's get on our prayer team or volunteer. And that was another thing that you're going to offend people if you join a prayer team on your website. And I'm like, how could that possibly offend anybody?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you get on vanordenforcongress.com, I'd appreciate it. The guy that I'm going up against, he's insert bad cliche about, 100% rating from Planned Parenthood, 100% rating from NARLA. Those are the people you can literally have a human baby and walk out of the room and see if you want to raise it. But he's got like $3.1 million in his war chest, and I'm going to have to match him with money. That's just the reality of running a political campaign. But if you can do anything, if you can only do one thing, please click on that and get on a prayer team. I'm a firm believer in the power of prayer.
Yeah.
And if you can contribute financially, that'd be awesome too. But that's about all from here, man. Prayer and resources is what we're working on. We have a great message. It's based on 7 words from the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. It's life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And all of my platforms are nested under those 3 concepts. And, you can't go wrong with that. It's a foundational document of our constitutional republic. We don't live in a democracy.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah.
Well, I may not be able to vote for you because I don't live in Wisconsin, but I'm going to send you a check because I definitely believe in what you're doing. I want to support who you are and what you're doing. So love you to pieces. I know that Ryan, we've got some questions. Can you stick around a little bit longer, Derrick, for some Q&A?
100%. Can you read them? Because they kind of, doing the
Ryan's going to come on and read them for you. So we'll make it really easy for you.
Okay. Excellent. Wow. You have glorious hair. Does mine look okay? Hold on. Let me fix mine.
Yeah. I'm thankful. I got a full head, but it's going gray real fast, brother.
It's all right.
It's all
Wisdom.
As long as it's not going.
Yes. Well, hey, first, thank you for your service, and thanks for being with us, Derrick. This has been a really wild experience for Debbie and I, coming up with this concept together and pulling off 20 guests in 9 days. And it's been quite a journey. And I'm so thankful for folks like yourself too. You guys have all educated me. I posted that earlier in the message board. Debbie, I've just, the education that I've just gotten just by joining in this family and being a part of this mission has really been humbling. It's been awesome. So thank you. And your humor and your candor, sir, is fabulous, especially coming from a politician. Yeah, I think right now it's needed, brother. It's needed. You know, people are so tense and so stressed out right now that I think a laugh and a smile and most importantly joy that you mentioned is so needed right now. So thank you.
You're absolutely welcome.
Did I read that Buds was put on hold due to the virus?
Yes.
And weak immune systems due to the intensity of training.
No, it's just it has nothing to do with weak immune systems. It was put on training because no one knew what to do. And you're living in very close quarters, and so they paused it. Essentially, they just skipped a class. So I think they're going to do 4 classes this year instead of 5 classes this year. What's the long-term ramifications of that? Negligible. With how special operations forces were still the most highly deployable person, our operational tempo, meaning we leave home more often than anybody else, is still higher, as it should be the way we're fighting wars right now. So those missing guys that aren't being trained right now, we'll be able to fill that. So as far as I think there will be a lack of appreciable effect on naval special warfare's ability to prosecute missions due to this, pause in training.
Well, it's not like that's a huge number either. You know, you may start with 225 in the class and you end up with, 28 that graduate. So
we had 156 and 12 of us graduated, me being one of them. That's why I said us. Rad.
Nice job.
So I'm going to butcher this one. Have you ever worked or spoke with the Leinenkugels?
Leinenkugels.
Hey.
Be a brewery in my district. Called. Oh, I see a from Jesse. Sure. Yeah. Awesome,
Solid.
Man.
Solid.
Yeah. It's a great. They make this summer shanty, which is good. It would be called. What do they call it in Germany, Dan? That beer with the no. It had. There's a beer where it's kind of Radler. Radler. There you go. Yeah, you got it. It's called a Radler. That's kind of a mix of like lemonade and beer. It's refreshing. Solid. Now, if anyone has a problem with drugs or alcohol, get off my back, okay?
How about this? Have you heard of the Convention of States movement? And if so, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that the chances of the Convention of States taking place within my lifetime is negligible. Is it a great idea? Yeah, it could be a great idea if you perceive it that way. However, I always talk to people like this. Everyone remembers that short video of the young lady who is looking to the sky after President Trump was elected, wearing that hat and the orange or the yellow slicker and screaming to the sky. Ah! Remember that? Does everyone remember that video? Okay. Well, I equate that with the chances. So the chances of her positively affecting President Trump not being the president, because that's what she wanted, are really nil by her standing in a parking lot screaming. And the chances of the Convention of the States, I think only 7 or 8 states have signed on to that. So the chances of that taking place within a reasonable amount of time, meaning my lifetime, I think are negligible. And there are so many things that we can focus on that we can actually positively affect within my lifetime. So I choose, just as I choose joy, I choose to look at things and do a very serious rack and stack of what needs to happen and the probability of that taking place. And I focus in that sweet spot.
That's awesome. What do you think is the most important attribute as a leader? I just like this question, so I'm going to conclude it with that, brother.
Be honest. I mean, tell people what you know and what you don't know. I did a thing with these college students. I've got 3 major universities and a bunch of smaller ones in my district. And I said, hey, look, ask me anything you want. And I am not a politician. That's why I pointed my finger at you. I'm getting involved in politics now. But I said, look, if I don't know the answer to a question, I'm going to tell you I don't know the answer to the question. Because you can just sit here and, move your lips to make noise, but why bother? I'm 50. You know what I mean? I've lived a very, I would say, active life of doing things. And I know thousands of people that all deserve the best I can give them all the time. And so if I'm just shining you on, I'm not going to do that. I don't have time for that. And I saw someone says indecision. Yeah. I mean, you have to make a choice at one point, but if you don't honestly address anything, you're going to make bad choices. So, I mean, I can decide stuff all day long, but if I don't have the right information and I'm not truthful to myself, I'm not honest about what I know and what I don't know, I'm going to make bad decisions all the time.
We love you to pieces. We pray God's blessing over your campaign and the finances that you need to do that as well. And just want to sign off with everybody. You know, Mark ended his last letter home with, to my family and friends, do me a favor, pass on the kindness, the love, the precious gift of human life. And we would change our world just with that simple attitude, added with Derrick's challenge to have joy. So have a great day. We will be back tomorrow with On Me 20 podcast number 13. If you're a veteran who's struggling, please do not hesitate to reach out to us at America's Mighty Warriors. We're doing a lot for our veterans with post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury, providing therapies that are actually healing and helping you. And if you are one of our supporters and you can jump in and help us, COVID has been tough on our foundation, but we continue to fight and be strong, but we need you to walk alongside us as well. So thank you so much. God bless you, Derrick. Tell your family I said hello.
I will, Mama. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
You guys take care. Go do good things. That's in order.
Yes, sir. Oh, wrong hand.
You're the worst. We'll see ya.
Bye.
Bye.
When fear flashes its teeth like a lion, when evil roars and walls begin to shake, there's a strength that's not my own. There's a fire in my bones. He is with me and his hand is ever on me. Follow on me. We're marching out into the night. Follow on me. We're standing up against a giant. Follow on me. We might be walking in the fire, but if it's where we're meant to be, then on